The Diary of a Wimpy Kid Theory by Alex Bale. This is gonna be my first time checking out Alex Bale's channel. I know he's made different videos about theories, especially, I think I remember seeing one related to like the Cars series. I'm excited to check out this video because I have read some of the Diary of a Wimpy Kid books. I low-key forgot the name of them. I think I mostly remember a book by the name of Dog Days, but this was back when I was in like middle school. But without further ado, let's see this whole fan theory, man.
There is a single page in the first Diary of a Wimpy Kid book that, at first glance, seems completely normal.
Okay.
But there's something on this page that, once you see it, will forever change the way you
I gave mom and dad their gifts. I get them the same kind of thing every year, but parents eat that stuff up.
look at these books. There's a genuinely unnerving implication here that I don't think anyone has ever talked about before.
Off the rip, this creepy vibe of this video is fire.
Today.
What's that smell?
I knew that door had a lock on it!
I think he said you're going to have an accident.
I'm scared as hell. What the hell's going on, bro? That shirt's fire.
Zooey Mama. Hi there. Diary of a Wimpy Kid is a classic children's book series about a narcissistic kid named Greg Heffley who believes one day he'll be famous.
And an ugly ass little brother by the name of Manny, bro.
The only reason I agreed to write in this thing is because when I'm rich and famous, I'll have better things to do than answer people's stupid questions all day long.
But until then, he's stuck in middle school dealing with his crazy family and the weird kids at school.
Yeah.
Want to see my secret freckle?
This theory is not going to be about
Who is this name? Oh, Fregley, right?
Fregley, by the way. I don't think I'm capable of figuring out what's going on with him.
They've gone on to make 20 books, 4 Rowley spin-offs, and 7 movie adaptations, and
okay.
there are no signs of them ever slowing down. And the weird
That's a lot of books, bro. Okay, I definitely read Roderick Rules. I definitely read Dog Days. I know The Last Straw, and I know The Ugly Truth. The rest of them, I don't think I know them.
thing about this is that not only do these books get a lot more cartoony and unrealistic as they go along, but by book 20, Greg is still in middle school.
What?
He never ages. And look, I know this is a thing that happens in a lot of different media about kids in school,
Yeah.
but the thing that's interesting about Diary of a Wimpy Kid is that the books themselves are constantly acknowledging it.
But
What?
for now, I'm stuck in middle school with a bunch of morons. To be honest with you, I feel like I've been stuck in middle school forever. I looked in the mirror, but everything looked exactly the same as it always does.
I got it. I'm profound. I figured it out. Greg Heffley is stuck in a time loop. That's what it is, right?
We got kids like me who haven't hit their growth spurt yet, mixed in with gorillas who have to shave twice a day.
He's stuck, bro.
From the start, these diaries have been drawing attention to the fact that Greg doesn't age, which makes me feel like there might be some kind of in-universe explanation
Or is he immortal?
for it. And look, I promise this is not going to be another edgy, oh, Greg is actually dead theory. No, I think there's actually a much simpler explanation.
Okay.
These books are not the objective truth. They are diaries written by an egotistical sociopath who is constantly lying to make himself look better.
Damn. I mean, I guess if you put it like that, I don't know if I would agree with all them freaking big words, bro. Sociopathic, psychopathic. I thought he was just a kid, just thinking he was cool as hell.
Greg is the definition of an unreliable narrator.
So, for all we know, Greg is aging normally, but for whatever reason, he's just choosing to lie about it in his diaries.
Okay.
That's the most logical in-universe explanation.
Dude, I'm sorry. This shirt is so beautiful. I need to buy this shirt, bro. It's fire.
Or, that's at least what I thought, until I found a very strange detail on page 122 of the first Diary of a Wimpy Kid book. A page that forever changed the way that I look at these diaries.
On this page, Greg talks about giving his parents the same gifts for Christmas every year.
Okay.
Mom and Dad
I'm trying to figure out what like looks odd about this. Is it this thing right here that kind of looks like it resembles a dick? Maybe not. I don't know.
their gifts. I get them the same kind of thing every year, but parents eat that stuff up. And then we see a drawing of Greg giving his parents their gifts. Do you
Okay, what's this black thing on the floor? Maybe that's it.
see anything wrong with this? Look
Number one,
very
number one mom, number one dad. Nothing.
closely. Greg believes that his parents eat that stuff up.
Okay.
But in the drawing, his parents are clearly unhappy with their gifts. The drawing contradicts Greg's opinion, which
Okay.
means Greg couldn't have written this page. Wait a second. Is Greg not the author of his diaries?
Whoa, I got chills. Deadass, I got chills. I don't know. I just feel like maybe he just got it wrong. Like, what if he just thought his parents eat it up, but his parents don't truly eat it up, and it was just him misjudging the situation?
Okay, so Obviously, I know that Jeff Kinney is the real author of these books, and all of this is just fictional. But I'm saying, in the universe of Diary of a Wimpy Kid, what if someone else is writing these diaries pretending to be Greg?
It's Fregley this whole time.
Have you ever noticed how the diaries are constantly cutting to other perspectives when Greg isn't around?
Okay.
We've kind of just had to assume that Greg either heard about these things after the fact, or maybe he was just exaggerating, but sometimes they really feel like they're telling us things that Greg wouldn't know.
That is true, huh? Like, these drawings are what's taking place and not really what is going through Greg's head, because he wouldn't know that these are happening.
Mom likes to rent these romantic comedies, and she makes Dad watch them with her, but I know Dad is just waiting for the first chance to break away and go back down to the basement.
Like, or if this drawing is just what Greg thinks is happening, but not really what's happening, you know?
How does Greg know this? I mean, who else but Frank would know what he was secretly thinking about in this moment?
Yeah.
This doesn't feel like something he would tell his son about later. In fact, these books are full of moments like this that feel like they're specifically from Greg's dad's perspective.
Okay.
Greg even claims at the start of Third Wheel that he can remember things from when he was in his mother's womb. And the things he remembers do feel kinda accurate, but wouldn't it make way more sense if these were actually Frank's memories from
True.
when his wife was pregnant?
What
Is he the coordinate, bro, from Attack on Titan? Yo, have any of y'all seen Attack on Titan? This is kind of like a strange overlap of Diary of a Wimpy Kid and Attack on Titan. But if you know when the freaking spoiler warning, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Attack on Titan. Eren goes up to Grisha, his dad, and then he like tells him, yo, I control you, I own you.
if Frank is the real author of the diaries? What if these are books that Frank is writing based on his son's life for some unknown reason? And it's okay if you're not fully on board yet, because I didn't really take this seriously either
Okay.
until I found something insane.
At the start of Dog Days, we are told that there is a newspaper comic called Lil Cutie that Frank and Greg read together every day. And we find out that Lil Cutie is a comic series that was written by a father based on his son.
Okay.
Look at these two drawings on the same
A father based on his son. Okay, so I could see how he would get inspired by that and maybe make Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
page. You can't tell me they aren't trying to frame Frank and Greg in the exact same way as the Lil Cutie author and his son.
To be fair, they could just be talking, but yeah.
And that's not even the craziest part, because on the very next page it says, I guess now that the real Lil Cutie is all grown up, his dad's having trouble coming up with new material. His dad's having trouble coming up with new material. Is this not exactly what we've been talking about this whole time? The diaries get cartoonier and Greg never ages because
Right.
now that his son is grown up, Frank is out of new material and he's forced to just make stuff up.
This is actually genuinely possible. Wow.
We even find out in Old School that Frank had a very similar childhood to Greg. He also had a best friend like Rowley, a dog, and two brothers that annoyed him. So maybe some of Greg's middle school stories are actually based on Frank's childhood memory.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, I was gonna say.
Greg, we're a lot alike.
Everything here fits perfectly.
Now, if you still don't believe me, then I have one final.
I would say, like, I don't know if I could definitively say that Greg's dad is the writer of Greg's story, but I could see why you say that, you know? There's no, like, irrefutable proof, though.
Question for you. A question that's been right in front of our faces this entire time, but we never thought to ask it before now.
What?
Why are these books called Diary of a Wimpy Kid?
Wimpy. Why is he called a wimpy kid if Greg, in his own perception, is always calling himself a fire, narcissistically egotistical kid who's supposed to be sociopathic? Wouldn't he call himself Diary of a amazing person, kid, whatever?
Why would Greg, someone who is consistently shown as narcissistic and egotistical,
I hear you.
refer to himself as
I hear
wimpy?
you. I hear
Greg
you.
has an extremely high opinion of himself. That's like his main thing. But you know who does think Greg is wimpy? His dad.
Dad was pretty mad at me for letting myself get bullied by a kid who was still in kindergarten.
Oh
when Dad saw
my.
it, he said it was a girl bike and I should get rid of it. Dad
Oh my
said
God.
There's no way he was getting me a dollhouse. So yes, I believe for whatever reason, Greg's dad decided to write the Diary of a Wimpy Kid books. And just like with Lil Cutie, it ended up becoming a huge financial success, leading to a whole series of books and even a handful of movies.
I always figured they'd make a movie about my life, but I didn't think they'd start the story here.
I always figured they'd make a movie about my life.
Huh.
This line implies that these are in-universe movies based on the diaries. And Greg
I still don't know if I agree, honestly, just because I think the Diary of a Wimpy Kid is the author saying that this is a Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Not that it's a book itself, it's just a diary, right? And it happens to be of a Wimpy Kid. Not that Greg titled it himself. It's just Greg just happened to write in a book that had no title, and the author was like, you know what? This is just a Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
actually become famous like he always wanted, but what if it's because his father decided to create a best-selling book series about his life?
Okay.
And that is my Diary of a Wimpy Kid theory. Case closed. Yep, I'm
This video has another 20 minutes.
pretty sure we wrapped up everything. I know I always say that, and then there's like a big surprise plot twist in these videos, but like this time we're done for sure.
No.
I mean, you can just leave. We're all done.
I'm waiting for the Diary of the Wimpy Kid. Greg is secretly dead, smashed his head open, crashed and died, and some other crazy stuff.
Don't look at the runtime of this video.
Too late, buddy.
Okay, so I genuinely wanted to end the theory here and be done with it, but there's a scene in the first Diary of a Wimpy Kid movie that I can't stop thinking about.
Okay.
I don't even want to show it because I promised I wasn't gonna do this, but just take a look for yourself.
He had to eat his lunch on the floor.
I was right. You're not even gonna make it out of there alive. The only chance you have making the yearbook is when they dedicate it to your memory.
Damn, that's oddly cryptic, bro. You gonna kill him?
The only chance you'll have of making the yearbook is if they dedicate it to your memory.
That's a threat, bro, on God.
Wait a second. Could that be what these movies are? Did Frank write these diaries because Greg
Is dead. Oh my God, he's dead. He's dead.
is dead?
Oh my God, he's dead. Oh my.
Oh, what the fuck?
Greg is dead. Hold on, let's lock in.
I know, I promised I wasn't gonna do another they were dead the whole time theory, but I swear, this is not your usual edgy run-of-the-mill Greg's in purgatory theory.
Okay.
There's something to this. And I know people have already suggested this before, but what I have never seen anyone talk about is the fact that there are so many moments in these movies that talk about Greg like he is dead
Okay.
or going to die.
You'll be dead or homeschooled by the end of the year anyway.
You're not even gonna make it out of there alive.
He will kill you. Literally kill you.
That doesn't mean he's already dead, though. Like, I think, if anything, it signifies that he's still alive and he might die.
You're dead. Move over. I'm dying. He'll kill
What
me
the-
for killing me. You know that? You guys are dead. But he'll kill me if she knows we're here.
You're so freaking dead.
I'll die.
You can't call if you're dead.
You can kill me.
She's gonna kill both of us.
We're dead.
Mom,
There is a lot of death, yeah. Oh my God, they're eating hot dogs. Beautiful, amazing.
kill us. You are so dead.
Greg, you are so dead!
Goodbye, Gregory. You will always be remembered.
When they dedicate it to your memory.
Like, I'm not crazy, right? That's a weird amount of references to Greg's death.
And remember, these are the same movies that decided to unambiguously tell us that Greg is famous enough to get a movie made about him.
I
Okay.
always figured they'd make a movie about my life.
Maybe they're also telling us the reason why, and these are just actors portraying someone who tragically passed
Honestly, sounds a little bit far-fetched in my opinion.
away. And it's not just the movies either. In Dog Days, when Greg is talking about reading in school, he says this very interesting line. I'm not really sure what makes a book a classic to begin with, but I think it has to be at least 50 years old, and some person or animal has to die at the end. And then later on, when he has to read Charlotte's Web, he says, just from looking at the cover, I guarantee either the girl or the pig doesn't make it to the end of the book.
Okay. So is he depressed or just likes death or something? Oh my.
Look,
Oh my.
I know I might be going off the rails here, but wouldn't it be so tragically ironic if Greg actually did become as famous as he wanted, but it was only because of his death?
I
Okay.
always figured they'd make a movie about my life, but I didn't think they'd start the story here.
That's why they adapted the diaries into movies. That's why he's always been stuck in middle school. And that is the real reason why his father decided to write a book series about him.
Okay, so this is a theory combined. Okay, it makes more sense. So the dad writes stories about his dead kid. That sounds very sad to say. Dad writes stories about his dead kid. The reason why it doesn't continue is because he died in middle school, so they can't really write anything else. They call it a Wimpy Kid, but then Greg always knew he was gonna be famous because he didn't actually know that. It's his dad writing that because he thinks that his son should be famous, but then that still doesn't explain why he would call it a Wimpy Kid. I don't know.
To keep his memory alive.
Like, maybe if you think that your son is wimpy, if your son died, would you call him wimpy on a book or in a movie that you make about him? I don't know. I feel like you would naturally say something a little bit nicer since he died.
And look, it's okay if you're not fully on board yet, because I've still got some really big evidence. But before we get into that, I want to take a look at how I think the real Greg Heffley might have died.
Okay.
And just a warning, this will probably sound like a lot of random speculation at first, but I promise it'll all come together in the end.
Okay. The fire!
Going back to the movie that told us about Greg's fame and possible death, there's a scene where Roderick tells Greg and Rowley a scary story about a nearby forest called Devil Worshipper Woods.
Whoa, okay.
This house, they had to tear it down because what happened there was so terrible. 2 kids who were, I don't know, maybe in middle school.
So that's your theory of where Greg died? I don't know.
They trick-or-treated that house on Halloween night, but the house was full of devil worshippers.
What the hell?
Roderick tells them about a house that abducted children and cooked them in an oven, but that ultimately led to an accidental fire that burned down the house with everyone inside.
But they forgot to turn off the ovens, so the house burned down with everyone in it.
Now, this is obviously just a story Roderick is making up to scare Greg. They even go to the woods later and only see Fregley.
Fregley ugly ass just be spawning everywhere, bro.
Guys?
But what if there's a nugget of truth to this story? Because later, in Roderick Rules, we briefly see a newspaper that seems to be talking about some kind of fire.
Okay.
And in the books, there are several references to house fires, including an instance where Greg actually accidentally causes one in their home.
Now, is there any confirmed deaths in the book, though, from anybody?
There's also this insane deleted scene from the 3rd movie where Manny ominously talks about an accident.
What?
You're taking away.
Well, it was an accident.
Tingy says you're going to have an accident.
What the hell? What the hell? Yo, I have chills. Oh god, I have chills.
Yeah, I see why they deleted.
What do you mean, like a car accident?
That scene. There are a lot of weird references to some kind of accident or house fire throughout the franchise.
Okay.
What if these are hints about how Greg actually died? But if so, when and how did this happen? Well, here's my theory. In Roderick Rules, Roderick throws a party when their parents and Manny go out of town.
And don't
Okay.
have anybody over this weekend.
He tells Greg that he can join the party, but ends up locking him in the basement instead.
Damn.
Chairs from the basement.
So let me guess, the house party happens, it goes on fire, and then Greg freaking dies in a ball like bacon or something. Well, bacon's not in a ball, but you get what I mean. Just incinerates to death.
Roderick, help! The door's closed!
Yeah, and it's staying closed. I don't need a middle schooler ruining my party.
Roderick!
Now, in the movie,
It's hard for me to believe that this happens, though, unless it's canon that the whole crib goes on fire.
Greg is able to escape and join the party, but in the books, Greg is trapped there all night, and he says that it was so cold that he practically froze to death.
Okay.
But the next day, he gets out and they quickly clean up before their parents come home. They even have to replace one of their doors, but they do finish in time.
See? Told you it'd work.
But look at what the diary says about their parents' reactions when they first get home. Mom and Dad's car rolled into the driveway right when we were tightening the last screw. You could tell they were pretty relieved the house hadn't burned down when they were away.
Okay.
Interesting. Another very specific reference to an accidental house fire. Again, that's weird, but obviously there was no actual fire here. I mean, in every version of the story, there's a crazy party, and Greg gets trapped in the basement, but the house never burns down. But what if it did? Remember, this diary, and by extension the movies based on them, are unreliable narrators, possibly written by a grieving father who wants to keep the memory
Then where else would we get extra information from if not the books or the movies? Is there some spin-off we don't know about?
of his son alive. So we don't know for sure what actually happened when Greg was locked in that basement all night.
Right.
The basement that Frank has warned them to stay out of. The basement that Greg was practically freezing to death in with no source of warmth. Except,
Is there like a freezer with freaking bodies in there or something?
that's not entirely true, because we also know that the basement is the house's furnace room.
Oh my god. Oh my gosh. Oh my god, he's tying it together.
So what if Greg tried to get warmer by messing with the furnace, but instead he ended up accidentally starting a deadly house fire? Yes, I believe that Greg never actually left that basement, and everything after this page is a complete and total lie.
Damn, okay.
Okay, that's a big claim, I know. And I did warn you, this would sound like a lot of random speculation, but I do actually have the evidence to back it up.
To start off, remember that newspaper that mentioned a fire? Well,
Yep.
Greg gets it as he's cleaning up the party. And it
Susan's missing, okay?
mentions the fire happening at 6 a.m. when Greg still would have been freezing in the basement.
Okay.
And also, look at what happens immediately after this page in the movie.
You are in so much trouble.
She's gonna kill both of us.
Greg and Roderick are unambiguously depicted as dead.
Right.
This theory also explains why a lot of the
So are they actually dead? Is that the theory?
death references
Like in that grave.
also include
But then if he died of a fire, furnace, whatever, he'd be incinerated. He wouldn't even be in a grave.
Roderick.
She's gonna kill both of us.
We're dead.
Mom would kill us, and I am a dead man.
Since he would likely be a victim of the fire as well.
The house burned down with everyone in it.
Frank
my
even
God.
describes the smell of Roderick's room as unidentifiable.
What is that smell? I can't even identify it.
But the real reason why I think this fire theory is so compelling is because of the very strange way that Frank starts to act when he gets home.
Okay.
Yes, that is correct. I am finally going to talk about the thing that has been all over TikTok for the past year, the movie's depiction of Frank.
Whoa.
Guess who's the laugher now? Me! I'm the laugher! Ah! I knew that door
What is the
had a lock
depiction?
on it, and everybody was
He
trying
does seem kind of like psychopathic here. Am I tripping?
to make me feel like I was losing my mind!
Seems kind of crazy.
I am far from the first person to notice this, but
Oh my god, why is he so damn dark and... Well, okay. That's gonna sound crazy, but he's like blacked out. That's what I mean.
in the Diary of a Wimpy Kid movies, Frank acts legitimately insane. To
Okay.
the point where it's kind of become a meme to joke about him being this serial killer guy that might have killed his family.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. Yeah, it's not a stretch to say he looks like Jeffrey Dahmer or something.
Hey, how about then, no video games and no television for the rest of the summer?
Dad, no!
I stopped laughing. I stopped.
Damn. Yo, take me back, bro. Back when these cables for TV was like 4 different, like yellow, red, and blue cords you gotta plug in. Now it's just an HDMI and you're good.
Ha! Guess who's the laugher now? I'm the laugher! I'm the laughingest laugher that ever laughed!
But the thing
Okay,
that's
bro.
interesting to me that I haven't seen anyone talk about is that Frank doesn't really start to act like this until after the Roderick Rules party.
Which means that could be possibly when his son dies and now he loses everything, including his sanity. Hold on.
He becomes extremely paranoid and starts to believe that something's wrong with the house.
Okay.
So, who came over this weekend?
What?
Hey! What the?
You guys got something you want to tell me?
What
No, we just randomly threw like a freaking 30 people party.
was General Grant doing on the thermostat?
He acts this way in the books too, but in the movies, he really acts like he's losing his sanity over the little inconsistencies in the house.
I knew that door had a lock on it! And everybody was trying to make me feel like I was losing my
Yeah, I don't think he acts like this in the books, bro. Not really, from what I remember.
mind!
This roller skating kid is really good.
I thought always he was more like the chill person, and then if anybody was lit, it was like freaking Rowley.
Don't you think that he hit his hair?
What if what we're actually seeing is
this freaking PTSD, bro? Did you see him coping? He was talking to a chair. That might have been his dead kid.
Frank having some kind of mental breakdown because he couldn't handle the reality of coming home to find his house had burned down with both of his children inside.
And that explains his need to write stories about them.
What is that smell? I can't even identify it.
I think that Frank would be incapable of accepting this horrible truth, so instead, he's staying in denial and imagining that the fire never actually happened and that his children are still alive.
Deny, deny, deny.
Got it. Deny, deny, deny.
The reason why Frank is fixating on the little differences in his house, like the bathroom lock being different, is because in reality, he's actually already moved into an entirely new home after the fire. But he'd rather concoct a whole elaborate story about his children replacing the door than accept the truth.
I knew that door had a lock on it!
Deny, deny, deny.
So he's an expert level coper, okay.
Also, remember that terrifying Manny deleted scene?
Yep.
He says you're going to have an accident.
And that's the fire. Oh my God, why did you zoom in on him like this, bro? It's almost confirming it, bro. Yo, I got chills.
This scene makes no sense in the context of this movie, but with this theory, it just fits so perfectly.
The only thing I could say is maybe the emphasis of this shot is to show how deranged that question is for a little kid to be asking or saying.
This is a moment of truth sneaking into Frank's delusions. His subconscious is telling him about the accident, but he is completely...
I have another theory. Maybe Frank is on the craziest drugs known to mankind, bro. And then he's just seeing stuff and hallucinating, bro.
Unable to accept it.
The house burned down with everyone in it. Deny, deny, deny.
And I think that that is the real reason why Frank decided to create a diary pretending to be his son, Greg, so that he could continue to remain in denial about his death forever.
Okay.
I told you it would all click together. It's possible Greg did actually have his own diary at some point, and now Frank is just continuing it. But either way, I think that the books that we are reading are a strange denial fantasy that Frank is writing to cope with his son's death.
I don't know if I can still agree with this, bro. I feel like this is still just a little bit too far-fetched for me.
This also gives a whole new meaning to why Frank is so protective over the basement in these books. The basement is where Frank works on his Civil War dioramas, and he's really strict about not wanting anyone to go down there. But maybe, even in his fantasy, Frank actually wants to keep his kids away from the basement that caused all of this.
What is in there, bro?
There's also this moment at the end of the Roderick Rules movie where Frank realizes his entire family is no longer sitting with him.
This roller skating kid is really good. Don't you think that he's real good?
And that does look awkward just in the movie, but then if you hyper-analyze it, it does look like he might be coping.
People like to joke about how Frank is realizing his entire family is dead or whatever, which doesn't exactly line up with my fire theory since Susan and Manny would still be alive.
True.
But if Frank has turned the loss of their children into a fictional best-selling franchise for money, then I could totally see Susan divorcing him and taking Manny. I mean,
that's a little bit of a stretch though. I feel like you can't add that into the theory without some type of evidence.
She was very much depicted as someone who believes in honesty.
You lied to me, and you know how I feel about that.
Damn.
So I think this scene actually works really well with this theory.
Don't you think that?
But it also works well with him just thinking his kids were next to him, and then they snuck off and got some popcorn somewhere, met up with their crush too.
Whether or not you agree with every part of this theory, you have to admit there's a lot of really compelling connections here.
Yeah.
And it offers us a very tragic new way to read these books. Nothing of what we see in these diaries is the full truth. It's a combination of both Frank's true memories of his son and fictional ones he's created to keep the lie going.
Damn.
We have to think of these books as more than just Frank and Greg. They're a weird amalgamation of them both. In a sense, these books are the story of
Freg. Okay.
Wait a second.
Fregley.
Oh, what the fuck?
Oh my God, no.
Fregley has never felt like a real person.
Don't tell me this motherfucker Fregley's behind everything, bro.
We never actually learn anything about him beyond the fact that he is this weird, inhuman, freaky kid who's always...
Yo, Fregley is dead-ass analog horror, bro. Why is his head shaped like a freaking Hershey's Kiss and his mouth is bigger than a freaking slice of watermelon? It kind of looks like a hot dog or a sausage.
It's around.
Wanna see my secret freckle?
Ew.
Sign it, Greg Heffley, if you let me look at your infection.
What if that's because he was never actually real? He was always something made up for the diary. What if Fregley is actually
I mean, he's ugly as hell. He just looks like he's a made-up person or made-up being.
Symbolic representation of both Frank and Greg?
Eh?
You have to admit that their canon full names, Franklin and Gregory, sound a whole lot like Fregley when combined, because he is a representation of the dark truth that Greg is actually dead and Frank is pretending to be him. It's why
But the only similarity is the name. I feel like their actions aren't the same.
Fregley is depicted as this weird kind of disgusting kid, because deep down, Frank is disgusted with himself for what he is doing, and this disgust and shame manifests in the diaries.
I don't even think he should, bro. As long as you just disclose that your kid died and you're doing this in honor of him, then you be chilling. I don't even think this is necessarily bad if this was the case.
As Fregley. It's why in both the books and the movies, Greg is mistaken for Fregley.
Hi, Holly. Oh, hi, Fregley. She thinks I'm Fregley?
It's not because he's just chopped, bro.
Why does Fregley have a secret language? Because Greg has a secret language. Why does Fregley want to show his secret freckle? Maybe because Greg also recently discovered a new freckle.
I did not know that, okay.
And what does Fregley do in the town talent show? He's a ventriloquist speaking for his puppet.
Say hello to the
Which is basically like Frank using Greg as the puppet, okay? Hold on.
Hello, boys and girls.
And that's why he's reacting like that.
Just like the way Frank speaks for Greg. And finally, remember the Devil Worshipper Wood story?
Yeah.
This was the story that first hinted about Greg's accidental house fire. What does Greg actually find when he goes there?
Fregley! Oh my god, it was always him.
Fregley, because Fregley represents the dark truth in Diary of a Wimpy Kid, and that is my theory. Thank you very much, Zooey Mama.
I don't know, bro. Shout out to Alex Bale for an amazing, well put together video. He had to do a ton of research, reading books and going through different stuff and trying to find different intricate ways to prove his theory correct. And the editing and the production of all this video and whatever, I still don't know if I can agree, bro. I feel like there's just too many things that feel like coincidences, dude. I don't know if I'm the only one. Like him dying in a freaking furnace in the basement, and then the fact that the Diary of the Wimpy Kid is called Diary of a Wimpy Kid, even though he shouldn't be called Diary of the Wimpy Kid, which I do agree. If he named himself, if he named the book, he would call it Diary of an Amazing Kid, right? Not a Wimpy. But I don't think that the Diary of Wimpy Kid is a book with a name. Let me explain. I think that the Diary of the Wimpy Kid is simply a diary. It just says diary on it, and that's canon in the show. But then whoever finds it, it's just called Diary of the Wimpy Kid. Like, it's called Diary of the Wimpy Kid to us. It's not actually titled that, you know? Unless he specifically says it in the book, that title, I don't think that this diaries actually have titles in itself. I think that they're just diaries, and then we happen to title them. Does that make sense? Either way, very interesting video, but I don't know if I can agree with this, man. But that's gonna do it for today's video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, join us, or link in the description. Let me know what you want to check out next on the channel down below. With that being said, it's Lovey Law. I love you, and I'm out.